not really TV, it's YouTube, so that's good. Are we live?
We're live.
Guys, welcome to episode 8, I believe, season 5. So, a couple of things. Guys, we're live on BJJ Fanatics Facebook page, as well as our regular YouTube channel. So you can see this is not Enrique. So this is Aliyah. So she helps me run a lot of the camps and seminars I do around the world. As Chris Liuta from New Orleans, a black belt that went to our Sicily camp last year, refers to her. She's tougher than a $2 steak. So Enrique is with Danielle Kelly in Thailand for 1FC. So if you get a chance, guys, watch it. It's going to be tonight at 8, starting, I think, 8 o'clock Eastern time. Mm-hmm. I don't know, you got to adjust it to your time zone. So guys, I have 3 topics. And by the way, we made a rookie mistake today. So John, who's now sitting behind the camera, he wore a black gi as well. He actually tried to put on Aliyah's blue gi. It did not work. That's a rookie mistake. Every time that we do a live show, Enrique and I coordinate. One of us, different colors, because you want to see the contrast. It's just basically very, very simple. Just you need to wear 2 different colored gis. So if anybody's making videos, guys, if you wear the same color gis, especially black on black, you can't see squat. So that's a rookie mistake. We almost made it today, but Aliyah fortunately had a blue gi in the car, and here we are. So guys, I have 3 topics that we could talk about. As you know, live questions get priority. So start asking away, because what happens every time we do this, I usually start with one topic. Then we try to make sure that people have questions on that topic and get addressed. And then there's a lull in the action. And then suddenly, about when we're about to wrap up 20, 25 minutes into the show, we get a slew of questions. So start asking those questions now so we can address them before the show is over. So guys, I'm going to let you choose the topic. So whichever topic gets the top priority or top selection, that's the one I'm going to discuss. But while you're pondering that and the responses are coming in, John, you're like a freaking accountant punching away something like... So make sure you tally up the responses. This is not going to be scientific. So guys, 3 topics. Are BJJ years like dog years? It's a question mark. So against my better judgment, I got into a little bit of an online feud. I was very polite, but it happens to me fairly, not frequently, but once every 2 months, which is not bad, I guess, where a guy that usually doesn't, so usually I try to, who am I talking to? There's no pictures of them ever training jiu-jitsu, no picture of rank, nothing that would give you an idea of what their credentials are. So I said, listen, the guy's like, this won't work against a high-level guy. I only train with high-level guys. Do you understand that? And I've literally been training with, guys, whether it's MMA, jiu-jitsu, grappling, BJJ, that are who's who in the world of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So I said, listen, and I raised the topic, so this is on me. I said, I've been training for 30 years pretty much with, who's who in the world of submission grappling, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And he said, well, I've been training for 10 years. And I know what that means. It sort of means like on and off. He elaborated a little bit. And John, you're going to have to stop moving so much because I am losing my train of thought.
I'm trying to pull up the comments for BJJ Fanatics.
It's all right. Just put it in front of your face. So, John, this is what John's doing. And I'm very sure.
You should see my setup right now.
I know. So, long story short, he said, I've been training 10 years. And he elaborated. I know it's on and off. So, it actually had me thinking, because we think about terms of years, not mat time. It is mat time. So, we can come back. That is topic 1. Second one is a topic that Michal Sumilidis from, I hope I didn't butcher your last name, from Czech Republic, raised about Craig said gi is dead. I personally don't believe it. I think there's a lot more nuances to it. I think the idea that gi is dead is it's not right. First of all, I believe there's very big benefits of training with the gi. Even if you're primarily a no-gi player, I generally recommend anybody that's a serious practitioner of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to train at least. If you're a no-gi guy, train gi with once a week. If you're a gi guy, train no-gi once a week. The reason is there's different rhythm, different friction, different matters of control, and they're mutually beneficial. If you look at ADCC winners of the last couple of ADCCs, generally speaking, most of the gold medalists train in both. Okay, not equally necessarily, but they train in both. So that's a good topic we can tackle. So that's topic 2. And topic 3 is Fred Bookley asked a question that he said, how many times have you considered quitting Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? I actually thought about it. I don't believe it was more than a passing thought. I never really seriously thought about it. Maybe there's something wrong with me because I probably should have quit. Or based on how my jiu-jitsu performance was, around the time when I was a senior blue belt, new purple belt, because it was dismal. So that's topic number 3. So guys, again, please file in, give us some, which topic should I tackle. Our BJJ, number 1 is BJJ years like dog years, 2 is gi versus no gi, and 3 is how many times have you considered quitting. Now, so while you guys are sending in responses and formulating your questions, again, guys, please don't ask your questions like 27 minutes into this because we will be wrapping up. Antoine from France asked me a question. I guess he's got the BJJ Fanatics Armbar video, which I highly recommend. Guys, I highly recommend all of them because I literally downloaded by the way, 93 is 30 years in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for me. And that ties into the dog years where in the early days of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I probably trained 300 to 500 hours, mat hours a year in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I was still doing striking. But the last 15 plus years, I'm putting in probably 800 to 1,000 hours of mat time training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That does not include cornering, coaching, looking at film, looking at tournaments, and so forth. And just like that, I lost my train of thought. Anyways, So BJJ Fanatics, I literally, when I do a video, I download everything I know about that topic up until that date. And my game continues to evolve. But his question is, Antoine, I hope I understood your question correctly. Your question was that, you do, when you go for the perpendicular armbar, that you tend not to have the ability to finish, that you kind of, I stay in that C position. My body's kind of curled up in a C position. Yours doesn't, and therefore you don't get the same results. So let's look at that. Guys, with arm barring, the idea is to hold the hand or the wrist at a stationary point, or actually applying opposing force to where the break is at the fulcrum. And the fulcrum could be literally, it could be your inner thigh, could be your hips. We usually think about it only as hips. Could be your stomach. I have armbarred people with using my torso, my stomach as a fulcrum. So I'm a big fan of actually, I was hitting this on my guys. And again, guys, I train with high-level guys. Enriquez medaled in, like Nogi Pan Ams at black belt. Mike is a professional MMA fighter. I only train, generally speaking, the guys I've trained at Renzo's for not for years, for decades. Literally who's who in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or MMA or submission grappling. I am a big fan of using sort of almost a top knot. So when I go for perpendicular armbar, so a lot of times I control the posture. So I need to make sure I get perpendicular to them. But sometimes if Aaliyah's head is where it is, it's easy for me to bring the leg over. But if they're sort of more square to you, what I'm doing is like sometimes people keep their head down, so as you're bringing it over, they use that opportunity to just rip out, and you lose it. Go ahead. Okay? So yeah, I could still maybe go to omoplata, but now I'm chasing them. So I'm a big fan of when I go perpendicular, control their posture and crossing my ankles. I don't have to come over their head. If they kind of try to swim their heads, which sometimes they do, I will. But if they don't, if they kind of try to tie me, it doesn't matter. So what I'm doing, guys, is bringing my heels down, and I'm curled up in a seat. But what I'm doing is, as I'm doing this, I'm slowly raising my hips. So the idea is when I'm in this position, this is the mistake a lot of newer practitioners make. When the armbar is whether you got your ankles crossed or not. So what they're doing is kind of raising their hips, but as they're raising their hips, they're doing this. What you need to be doing is bringing your heels down and hips up. That's where that break comes in. Whether you use perpendicular armbar with the top knot, top lock, whatever you want to call it, or whether you're doing it, the more traditional way. And this is the same thing, even if I do a top side control. So a lot of times what people do is this. And the wrist starts to migrate off the torso. It's important to keep the wrist, the hand stationary. And sometimes you can even apply opposing force, meaning not just stationary, but actually actively pushing into the angle. So right now I'm using Aaliyah's. You can see that her thumb is not fully out. She kind of wants to kind of turn it in a certain way, which allows her to do the hitchhiker escape. So I start to push her hip into my inner thigh. Okay? So let's look at the top lock again. So guys, whether you're doing it crossing your ankles, again, if the head slips out, I uncross my ankles. But if the head is inside, I keep my ankles locked up. And again, I'm bringing my heels down while I'm bringing my hips up. That's where the breaking power comes. Like I said, a lot of new people, they have a habit of pushing the person away. Or as they're raising their hips, their feet come up too. So you're never increasing the pressure on the elbow. So we'll look at it from the other angle. So again, I'm controlling Aaliyah's posture, cross. Guys, I like to keep this armpit grip just because, and what I'm doing now is squeezing my knees together, heels down, hips up. So you can do it also if the arm slips. This is way stronger, the armpit grip. So as I'm raising my hips, I'm bringing my heels down. So Antoine, I guess, he mentioned that he was lanky. He thought maybe it's a function of his body build. I don't believe so. I think just make sure you could stay curled. But as you raising your hips, make sure your heels go down. All right, John, do we have a choice of a topic, or do we have any questions separate from that?
We got a good few good mornings. Good morning, Alad, Adolfo.
What's up, guys?
Gilbert, good morning. Looks like the Adolfo said the video quality is fantastic.
How's the audio, especially on the BJJ Fanatics? Is Ryan Ford on?
So it's a lot better on the Facebook than it is YouTube. I think that's the general gist of it. I did reach down there and put it up as somebody did ask to raise it on the YouTube a little bit.
Okay.
So I did raise it a little bit, but it is
guys, we're using exactly the same equipment we used last week, the week before we were in Costa Rica, but so at this point it's magic. So I don't quite know what to do with this. Anyways, what do we have on the topics? Where did the vote come out?
No one's really focused on the topics we were talking about.
So what's the questions?
All right, we got
BJJ Fanatics.
There's none on the BJJ Fanatics site.
Is Ryan Ford?
I don't see Ryan on here or messages on here. There's nothing. There's like just some people saying some names on here. No
Okay.
comments.
All right. So, guys, if you say names, good morning. I appreciate it, but that's not questions. So I will. If you.
Atib though asked, do you prefer a half guard or half niche with the knee shield, half guard with the knee shield, or butterfly hook?
Neither. Split guard. Yeah, go to that episode on YouTube. Split guard is, to me, superior to both of them. So I don't, for me, especially I'm lankier. You got a big guy that crush your hips, and I have a bad lower back. So once your hips get crushed, it's hard to sort of generate some momentum or a movement that allows you to either, again, half guard is used for sweeping. Split guard can be used for sweeping or submissions. It's a very good submission tool. By the way, is this somebody lobbing this stuff up? By the way, I do have a instructional on split guard on BJJ Fanatics. Yeah, it's like you said, if I could choose between any guard, split guard is it. And if you can go into half guard, whether it's knee shield or regular half guard, it's easy to go into split guard from there. It's like that's one of the entries, and it's superior in a sense that it's not just used for sweeping, but it's used for submission. So again, I can sweep people, I can submit them, and usually once I put people in split guard, it's a very, very quick submission or a very, very quick and easy sweep. So split guard is the answer.
We do have a defensive split guard question. When somebody has you in their open guard and they pull your collar in, and I guess he goes for a straight foot lock, and the opponent grabs your collar and pulls you into stall. What would you do in a scenario like that?
I'm not sure I understand the question, so.
I'll walk you through. So I guess Aaliyah would be.
Am I Aaliyah or is Aaliyah Aaliyah?
Aaliyah. No. I would switch because you're gonna do something
you
to
drop
her.
for
So
ankle lock.
you're gonna be in her open guard and she's gonna grab your collar and kind of pull you in a stalling form. And I guess Fox, you went for a foot lock.
Okay, I'm not a fan of this approach because I've seen it failed way too many times where the person just, especially if they got a collar grip, come on, they just ride up and you're screwed. So what I would sort of, generally speaking, go ahead, Aaliyah, you're done. So if Aaliyah has, so rather than doing this, right now she's got 4 grips, I have none. So this is a mistake on my part to begin with. So at least I'm kind of doing a decent job with my right leg trying to prevent her left foot hip to be of any value. But usually I start to bring my knee in and I start to threaten a guard pass. Again, now I can have the ankle lock on my left side, but I'm not a fan of that. Again, especially if it matters, like in self-defense, MMA, grappling. I've seen, I had one student that I said, whatever, in the IBJJF tournament, I said, whatever you do, don't drop in for an ankle lock. Literally in the first minute, he drops in for an ankle lock. The guy rides up on top, gets rid of the ankle lock, winds up with 2 points, and that's it. After that, there's no action. Everybody kind of stalls. So I'm not a fan of that. I would just start to drive the knee through and for a guard pass. It's a better execution, and you have a easier way to dominate from the top once you pass the guard. A lot of times when you threaten the ankle lock, people have a tendency to sort of, rather than kind of go offensive mode, so as they start to basically bring their foot. So normally this could be an ankle lock, right? They start to bring it in a different position, which could still potentially open them up for the, I believe maybe an Aoki lock or sort of modified ankle lock, which is even more brutal than the original one, but also allows you to escape or push. But you could see that it starts to open up the guard for the pass. So the threat of that, it also helps you pass the guard in sort of a little bit easier than it would otherwise.
Awesome. Gennaro Hernandez, I hope that answered. Yes, I did see your question, and I hope that answered it for you. Antoine said, merci beaucoup.
Oh, shit, all right.
Thank you for going over his.
Merade, as the French say. Did I say it right? Nice. I hope that answered your question.
And baseball said, YouTube sounds great, so we're going to stick
Oh, we're
with that.
back in?
We got a BJJ Fanatics, here we go.
Okay.
Best setup for a Barra to Plata.
You know what? Ask the guy that invented it, guys. Tarka Plata, Barra to Plata. Watch the guys that are experts at it. I've then been playing with it for years, several years. I have finished people with it maybe 10 times in the last 3 years. So for me, that's not a go-to move. I'm not an expert at it, guys. Again, go to the guys that are expert at it. Tarko Plata, Barata Plata, those are 2 guys. Well, strip out the Plata from it, but go to the 2 guys that are really experts at it and watch them set up. Just put in We have 1 minute left.
Flying, yeah.
How did that happen? Did we enter time warp? So, so guys, go to the guys that are expert at it. You know, it's simple. Just go Bharata Plata, Tarka Plata, set up, and a bunch of stuff will pop up. You know, and that's the guys I would ask.
Awesome. David Carter, what's your favorite heel hook defense? We in the gi, we tend to not use heel hooks.
Yeah, we don't use heel hooks in the gi. But usually, it doesn't matter. I just sit on people. Usually, especially, well, it depends on the end. It depends. It's not a favorite. There's so many different entries. There's outside heel hook, you know, inside heel hook. There's different control of the legs and so forth. So it depends what they're doing to you. But usually, if the guys enter reaping, which is probably the most rudimentary entry into heel hooks, I'll just sit on them. And I'm pretty sure we've talked about it before on one of the YouTube videos. So you would just put Silver Fox BJJ heel hook defense and something will pop up. So do we have a topic choice, or should I just choose one?
I would choose one. We do.
Guys, I'm gonna go with the BJJ years like dog years. Let's run with that for a second. So again, against my better judgment, and the reason I generally tend, guys, I am not looking for a debate. You like my technique, you like my recommendations, use them. You don't. Guys, I've seen black belts put out videos where I'm like, this is shit. Not just bad technique. There's like 18 regrips. The guy is sloppy. He's not even putting care to at least be precise about his stuff. But I don't comment. I'm not going to watch it. It's not, okay, yeah, you know. I don't have time to spend. Bro, you should make your technique better, or at least have some pride in your work. Make it precise. But usually so this happens to me maybe once every 2 months. What made me enter into this feud is feud is too much. And I was pretty polite, but I was like, I want to, you know, hey, you make a very, very categorical statement, which is like, this would not work against high level. I looked at the guy and I'm like, I know for a fact that you don't train with high level guys. So how would you know? You going against with an escape that, yeah, okay, that's one of the escapes, but I'm going against a guy that squashes that first escape. But the point is, I look at these guys just sort of profile just to see, do they even train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, or is it some sort of a troll, which my understanding is that a lot of these guys are. So what bothers me is the arrogance. It's not even the question. Usually, if I don't like the question, you know, like, listen, you have a question, I'll try to answer it. But it's not a question, it's a statement. And it's an arrogant statement from somebody that I believe has relatively rudimentary knowledge of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But I said, and this is my fault, I said I've been training for 30 years. But, you know, there's other people that have been training 30 years. Does that mean that our knowledge is equal? It doesn't. So there's two aspects to training. It's quality and quantity. So quality to me is, okay, who have I been training with? I've literally been in the Renzo Gracie tribe from the very beginning, since Renzo started coming to the U.S., I believe in 94. I was training in 93 with Craig Kukuk, and they teamed up, and I've been literally part of that same line since the very beginning. You could see who's come through that line, who's been training in that line, and so forth. So to me, that's quality. However, quality is subjective. Quantity is not. It's not BJJ years. I've been training for 5 years. I know people that have been training 5 years, and maybe they have a year and a half of a hobbyist's years, a mat time in that. Year and a half. You know, when people look at Gordon is amazing. He's special. He's, you know, but he got his black belt, like, I think it was like 5 or 6 years. But you understand, the guy was putting in maybe 20, 30 hours of mat time, maybe even more, a week. 30 hours times 52 weeks is 1,500 hours. Most people will put in 200-300 hours a year. He was putting in 1,500. So 5 times as much mat time. So there's economies, there's law of diminishing return. The more you train, that 30th hour is going to help you improve by less than the first or second hour. That said, you're still improving. So, taking that into account, the most important aspect, if you're talking about how long you've been training, and people also think like they should be promoted because I've been training 3 years. I look at their card and I'm like, I know what their game is like. If the game was there, no problem, I'll promote you. But it's like, dude, you got 30 classes in the last 3 years. That's 10 classes a year. You haven't been training 3 years. You basically have 30 mat hours. That's it. So again, are BJJ years like dog years? Yes. You should be thinking of mat hours. And training with your friends in your basement, it counts, but not as much as training with literally elite guys in a world-class academy. I will cover the other 2 topics in the next couple of episodes, guys, gi versus no gi, and how many times have you considered quitting. So, John, do we have any last-minute questions on topics that we tried to cover?
Yeah.
Now people are like...
Yeah, I know. YouTube goes wild. But there's a quick, easy one. I know this has been a topic that you've been covering the last few weeks, and this is Willie from Hickory, North Carolina. He just wants to know, how often are you redlining your body, and what's a good way to increase training volume without breaking down? I know this has been a topic before, so it's just on BJJ.
Willie, are you training right now, or are you taking time off? You try not to redline anything. Unless you're like racing to that finish line and you're slightly ahead, you're about to win that car race, then you redline. But in training, you try to focus on technique. So what does technique mean? Good timing, good execution, meaning, what does that mean? Again, good sequence, good technique, meaning kind of doing mechanically what makes the most sense with precise placement. So when I train, I tend to focus on those 2 things. Yes, sometimes we escalate, but I try not to have any more than 2 or 3 hard training sessions a week. The rest of my sessions tend to focus on improving my technique and timing. And I hope you're training. I'm coming to North Carolina, I think. I don't...
Next few weeks.
No. I think May. First weekend in May. First weekend in May, I think. Anyways, I'll see you there. Guys, we'll see you next week. Same place, same time, same bat channel.